All right. What's up, guys? Appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope you are having a awesome Monday so far on this most overrated holiday of all time. The dumbest holiday, in my opinion. Valentine's Day, just a lame excuse to tell somebody you love them. I mean, if you have to be reminded to do so, I think you're doing it all wrong. So, there's my thoughts on that. Moving on to obviously last night's Super Bowl, the Rams, they got it done. Shout out to them, laying a new mold for team building, going out of their way to spend all their draft capital and put themselves in salary cap hell for future years to come and worry about it later. But hey, who needs to be under the cap and have lots of draft picks when you can go win a Super Bowl, right? So maybe that'll be something that Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones pay attention to. I know Stephen is more the conservative of the two, so maybe the Rams, laying the blueprint, if you will, to team building. So the Cowboys, obviously, we'll talk a little bit about them, some things that they have to watch or that they're going to be dealing with coming up, and then a couple key dates that I have highlighted here and bookmarked and that I'll be watching very closely and excited to talk about on this channel moving forward. It is the NFL draft season officially today as the Super Bowl concluded last night. So pumped for that, right? The new league year is on the horizon, and we can talk about 2022 and flush all the crap that finished with in 2021, right? So obviously the Rams, they traded a second and third round pick for Von Miller midseason. They acquired a guy, Odell Beckham Jr., to replace Robert Woods, who was a feature part of their offense. Took a risk and a guy that was labeled as a diva and washed and all that stuff, right? Everybody wrote Odell Beckham Jr. off, but he comes back and has as many touchdowns in half a season with the Rams as he did in 3 years, the 2.5 years prior with the Browns, and scores a touchdown in the Super Bowl, gets that ring that I think that is very well deserved. One of the most exciting guys to watch in my era, my generation. So cool to see him have that. Obviously, with the knee injury, the reports, at least early on, are is that it could potentially be an ACL injury, which, if it is, a guy that's due another contract, he is in a contract year this year, would certainly hamper his ability to get the money that he probably deserves, especially when the Rams don't exactly have a ton of money to spend. But would like to think, fingers crossed, that it's not a complete ACL tear and that won't, impact his ability to secure the bag and he can move forward. And, obviously the Rams acquiring Matthew Stafford for 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. And, they don't have a single first-round pick until 2024. But, hey, like I said, man, if you can push all the poker chips in and go get it, if you feel like if that's your within reach, then don't be scared to take a shot. So that's like my message to the Cowboys organization, right? Is we don't really see them be big spenders, whether that be in free agency or otherwise, right? Like they're kind of conservative, building from within, keeping their own guys in house. Like that's been the motto. So more than one way to go about doing it. So key dates that I got looking forward to this month, obviously February 22nd, the franchise tag window opens. March 1st, the NFL Combine happens. That's a spectacle in and of itself. I love the Combine as well. Then, a few days after that, a week after that, actually, March 8th, that franchise tag window that opened on February 22nd will close. So there's like a 2.5-week window there for teams to figure out who they will or won't be franchise tagging. And again, we all know how that stuff can be quite the polarizing topic, not only between player and team, but also members of every fan base. It usually seems to be kind of split 50-50 in terms of how the fan base wants to approach paying somebody or not, right? And obviously it impacts the player too a lot because, the guaranteed money for the one specific season, it's like the team is saying, hey, we like you, we want to keep you around, but we don't really think you're a fit here for us long term, right? So that's like the lack of long-term commitment from the organization that usually is kind of like seen as a slap in the face of the player. It just gets weird, but March 16th, the new league year begins, so that's when we will officially turn the page on 2021 and look forward to 2022, which on that day also obviously does coincide with free agency beginning. So we'll see, all the all the NFL reporters that are tweeting way too much in the middle of the night, giving us all the latest and greatest headlines, which salute to Adam Schefter and the like. I am thankful for. I keep the notifications turned on in that period, but they don't get nearly enough sleep or as much sleep as they probably should in that time because they gotta break the news, right? So looking forward to that. That's March 16th. The new league year and free agency officially begins. So, and then obviously after that, the coveted and long sought after NFL draft will be on April 28th. So that's the upcoming dates. I wanted to talk about Kyler Murray and his situation, right? Obviously, a couple days before, or about a week ago, I guess now, the report came out that he had since deleted all of his pictures that associate him with the Arizona Cardinals organization and also deleted the Arizona Cardinals from his bio. But upon further review, if you go and do a little bit of digging for yourself, you would see or realize that conveniently all the headlines that are leaking those reports left out the fact that he had also deleted everything else regarding his family or just all other walks of his life. His time at OU, his time at A&M, right? Everything was so. There was only 2 pictures left on his profile on Instagram. Lots of speculation. Maybe he's, you could say maybe he's rebranding. He's about to enter a new partnership with some sort of a, endorsement deal, or you could say that now that he has just concluded his third year in the NFL, which means he is eligible for a contract extension, maybe it's some sort of tactic by he and his camp, his agency, to start to get the ball rolling and get things moving towards getting that long-term, that contract extension, right? So clearly it worked, right? Mission accomplished if you're Kyler's camp and trying to stir up the drama surrounding him and whether or not he's unhappy. That we also have this report just, I think, 2 days ago as well. So more smoke, right, coming from the Kyler Murray fire from Chris Mortensen, who says the odd vibe between the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray is indeed alarming. Murray is described as self-centered, immature, and a finger pointer, per sources. Murray is frustrated with the franchise and was embarrassed by the playoff loss to the Rams and thinks he's been framed as the scapegoat. So lots to unpack there, but for me, the way I see it, this is more or less it's contract year jargon, right? This is what we see. It's a money-driven league, like most other things in this world, right? And so, money is the ruler. To me, it's Kyler and Arizona both just kind of jockeying for leverage as the negotiations heat up. So. Clearly, there is some smoke there, but if you're wondering, what's going on and, is Kyler really going to leave Arizona? The answer is absolutely not. Quarterbacks just do not grow on trees these days, and especially in a league, the NFC, that is, when that no longer features Tom Brady, at least for now. He's still technically on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster. We'll see what happens with that. Aaron Rodgers potentially parting ways with Green Bay, who the latest reports are saying now that things between those two parties are as good as they've ever been. So that's something to watch. And then, obviously Russell Wilson, lots of high-powered quarterback names who may or may not be on the move from the NFC. So if you've got that quarterback, man, we talk about that a lot on this channel. It's something I'm passionate about. It is a highly controversial topic, right? Is just, what quarterback's worth it? What's the going rate? Who deserves what? All this nonsense, right? If you've got a guy that lock him up, because you never know when you're going to get that chance again. You could see yourself in a situation like the Browns did, going 18 some odd years without having a single quarterback start in consecutive seasons or whatever the crazy. It's hard to find guys that are talented enough to galvanize and lead an organization. So when you got the right one, you better pay him and you better give him what he wants so that you can move about your business and start just getting ready to field a football team around him, right? So the tricky part to that is, and I also wanted to mention this too, and this is my opinion, I don't necessarily love, I'll say, obviously, calling out players and, because I understand the challenge it is to be a professional athlete, to, be willing to put yourself out there, man in the arena style and open yourself to all the criticism and all the blame and all the heat, right? So it's not technically fair for dumbasses like me to sit here in my chair and nitpick and finger point Kyler Murray. But I will say that if you're going to be a guy that's potentially asking for somewhere in the $50 million per year range, you better also display that leadership that lets your teammates know around you that you've got it and you're gonna stay strong and hold it together between the ears, and not let your body language do all the talking for you when the crap hits the fan, right? For lack of a better term. So I feel like I see that far too often from Kyler Murray. I know he's still young, right? Third year in the league. Got lots of time to mature, right? And the talent is obviously through the roof. So it's pretty obvious to I don't really have to sit here and talk you guys into why the Cardinals would be stupid to let him go. But again, I just think this is purely contract year jargon between team and player, and it's just they're all kind of trying to figure out the negotiations and gain their advantage by leaking information here and there to the media, and you get the drill by now. So we're all well familiar with that. Cowboys obviously, as we close this, got lots of decisions to make moving forward. I was looking to those 5 dates that I mentioned a second ago. Amari Cooper is potentially on his way out. Again, I think the Cowboys would be crazy to let him go, especially if they don't already have a contingency plan in place to bring back Michael Gallup, who is also due a contract. He's going to be a free agent this year as well. So the Cowboys could save $16 million by parting ways with Amari. They could save, I think, somewhere in the range of $8 million by parting ways with Tank Lawrence, who's going to be on the books this year for $27 million. So lots of stuff to talk about. But, they could flip the contractual switches and reconfigure the contracts from guys like Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott, and defer money, which is not something that you necessarily want to do, especially for a running back that's kind of going through it with injuries right now, deferring his money to a later date. But again, like the Rams showed us, right? If you feel like the chance and your window is right here, the window of opportunity to go and get that Super Bowl is in front of you, then do whatever it takes to free up money. And maybe, if the Cowboys really do restructure all these deals with Tank, who I've also seen reports of him potentially taking a pay cut, which I'll be shocked if that happens, but it's just not the wise thing to do, in my opinion, in a contact sport like the NFL, when longevity isn't exactly commonplace. That's another discussion. But restructuring the contracts of Dak, Zeke, Tank, maybe. And then depending on what they decide to do with Amari Cooper, right, could free up quite a bit of money. So it's like you might ask yourself, well, what's the point of freeing up all this money when they're not going to be willing to spend it in free agency anyways? So all I'll say is I don't know. I don't have the answers. I don't know exactly what the Cowboys will elect to do. I just know that, for one, they better not part ways with both Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper, or else they'll be in a world of trouble. But lots of holes to fill at the linebacker position. To me, Tank Lawrence is a guy that you've got to have around as well. You got to keep him just for his impact and as a run stopper, and the boost that he also provides to rushing the passer, and then just what I know him to be as a leader of men, just kind of the guy that has the respect of everybody else on the defensive side of the ball and in the locker room, right? So I want his mentorship, if you will, to kind of take Micah Parsons under his wing and keep him under his umbrella and groom him, the up-and-coming superstar who's going to be spending a lot more time on the defensive line and rushing the passer. So I want Tank Lawrence around. I think he's an integral part of that defense. And the more guys that we can bring back with an already top 5 defense, along with Dan Quinn, right, who's going to be here he's on a multi-year contract extension as well. I want that continuity on that side of the ball as much as I can get to stay together. That's what I want. So probably going to have to address the linebacker position with Keanu Neal being a free agent and Leighton Vander Esch also, in his rookie contract coming to a close. The Cowboys didn't pick up the 5th-year option, so he likely walks. And then, of course, obvious needs up front on the offensive line as well. A couple names to watch that I've seen early on in a lot of the mock drafts from the NFL Network crew and otherwise is, the two most common names outside of Nakobe Dean from Georgia, the linebacker, who most of you who watch the national championship are very familiar with. But the two offensive line names that are most commonly landing to the Cowboys at 24 with a 24th overall pick are center Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa and offensive guard Kenyon Green from Texas A&M. So some names to watch there. That's all I got for y'all today, guys. I think we'll just close it with that. And as always, let me know in the comments what concerns or questions or just general statements that you may have. I love engaging with y'all. So remember, man, today only happens once. It's a beautiful day out there. It's Monday. A long week ahead. I understand. So it's like, kicking the tires on the same old. But if something's weighing you down, free yourself from that baggage. Try something new. That's what I would encourage you to do. Pick up new habits. Delete those old ones. Free yourselves from all the toxicity and the BS, right? But today happens once, man. So make the most of it. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in.